So, if everything is one seamless reality, what is it that reincarnates?
See, again, you can understand reincarnation only from that particular individual's point of view, the individual who's asking this question. In existence, there is no reincarnation. For example, a tree, for some reason, if that tree is chopped down, that tree will not reincarnate itself as another tree. Because that question, that idea, the thought itself seems ridiculous. Because, okay, you've chopped the tree, now that tree had a memory of being a tree. And that is why it existed. That is why it produced fruits and flowers, because it had some accumulation of memory. But now that it's chopped down, what would happen to all those thoughts of fruiting and flowering? Those thoughts will manifest in another tree. The desire to fruit and flower will manifest in another plant. The seeds that tree has produced will grow up to becoming more trees. So in a way, even before the tree is chopped down, it has extended its thought process in the form of seeds, which will continue. It's a very same phenomenon with human beings. Every thought that we generate gives rise to more thoughts. See, this very conversation, if 5 people are listening to this, then first this thought impacts those 5 minds. And if those 5 minds go and talk to 10 more people or 100 more people, then my one thought has traveled to those 100 people. Then eventually it can travel to 1,000 more people. So there's a part of you that is constantly being spread across, right? But when you talk about reincarnation, you're talking about the end of the body. The body dies. Now the question is, what happens to me after my body dies? Now, although your body is dead, if I can close my eyes and recollect your image, you are still there. So the image of you always exists in some form. Once you have become a part of existence and you have acquired a certain form, that form becomes a part of the impression of existence. And remember this, existence never forgets. It always remembers. A seed never forgets how to become a tree. It always remembers. The memory is there. When the conditions are right, it'll become a tree. Similarly, all the thoughts that you've gathered and accumulated in a certain form, it's a very mystical form. You will not be able to understand in what form, but in a certain packaged form, it exists somewhere in existence. And that becomes a seed for another mind. But of course, when that seed begins to grow, it grows in its own individualistic way. It will not have your form. It will not look exactly like you. It will not talk exactly like you. So when you say reincarnation, it is impossible for a mind that has lived its life and died to again reincarnate into the same process. So there is only one Jacob, there is only one Terry, and that phenomenon happens once. And once you disappear, the cloud of thoughts that you have accumulated will carry on and manifest into something else, but never as exactly like you. See, even you, 10 years before, you were completely different. 15 years before, 20 years before, you were unrecognizable. Now, which part of you are you talking about when you talk about incarnation? Can you pinpoint and tell me this is who you are so that I can tell you, okay, whether you'll be incarnated or not? You yourself are a continuously changing process. If you are asking this question now, you have a certain mental image about yourself. If you had asked this question when you were 6 years or 7 years, the answer would have been completely different. See, when you ask this question about reincarnation, you're only asking this question at a particular stage in your life, in this continuously changing mind and body. So since there is no real you, there is no fixed you, there cannot be an incarnation in that sense. It's a continuous, seamless process. It's like a wave in the ocean. Your one lifetime is one wave. As one wave ends, another wave begins. But you cannot say that it is the same wave that is continuing. This wave is slightly different from the previous wave. But at the same time, you cannot tell that this wave has not been influenced by the previous wave. It has been influenced. Every wave is influenced by the wave before it, but it is not the same wave. Something is different. That is why existence never reproduces one thing again. Even if it is the best thing that it has produced, it will never try to replicate it, because replication is not a part of existence at all. Every time existence creates, it creates something new. Same tree, an apple tree is producing apples, each apple is slightly different from the other. It even tastes different if you observe it. Not all apples taste the same. On the same tree, not all apples are the same color. If on one tree, one species of a tree, if you can find so much of variety, imagine this whole ocean of humanity. It's a wave. When one thought process ends, another begins. But your life, how you have lived, the way you have thought, everything kind of pushes on. Everything influences the next. But this is where the circle of life just continues on and on and on till you realize that you are not a part of this circle. You are something beyond. Till that moment comes when you break this cycle of birth and death, you will always be stuck in what is called samsara. We call this samsara. Samsara means the cycle of birth and death. And only an enlightened mind has broken this cycle of birth and death. Only an awakened mind can reincarnate in that sense, because it has dropped the identity with the body and it has become complete in itself. Now, if the self reincarnates, you can with absolute certainty say that yes, something real has manifested itself into life. But you cannot pick up an image of life and expect that to reincarnate, because it is not real. Your mind and body is just an image. It's not a fixed reality. It's a constantly changing wave. The ocean can reincarnate itself in multiple waves, but a single wave cannot reincarnate itself as other waves. It cannot even choose reincarnation, because it is just a part of the existence. In unconsciousness, it waves. In unconsciousness, it influences another life. In unconsciousness, it dies. Again, in unconsciousness, it becomes another new wave. So the idea of reincarnation itself is absurd for an individual mind and body. But still, this is a very powerful idea. It's one of the oldest ideas if you think about it. Almost every culture has had this idea of reincarnation. Hinduism, Buddhism, Egyptians, Mayans, Sumerians, Assyrians, all of them have this idea of reincarnation. They know that death is not the end. Death gives rise to something new. Now, where do they get this idea from? This idea comes from the understanding that when a person realizes his true nature, When he transcends the limitations of the mind and body, he becomes an awakened mind. And in that awakened state, there is no you, me, there is no separation. He has become a part of a single universal self. Now, that single universal self is what keeps on incarnating as different beings, different things. That's why if you look at the Hindu scriptures, we say that once an individual goes through the path of meditation and realizes his self, he becomes enlightened, then he becomes the reincarnation of all the beings. All the enlightened beings, unenlightened beings, plants, animals. He is the reincarnation of a mosquito, of a butterfly. That's why in Hindu culture, everything is a part of that reincarnation. I mean, if you look at the pictures, how gods are depicted, you will see them with hundreds of hands, with multiple faces, face of a crocodile, face of a pig, face of an elephant. What is the meaning of all this? It is to say that there is one self that manifests itself as various beings. And only the person who realizes this self actually experiences this oneness with the whole existence. Otherwise, you are just isolated in the mind, in the body. So this idea of reincarnation simply doesn't apply. Reincarnation, the very idea only makes sense when you have experienced your true reality that is unchanging. From an unchanging reality, reincarnation is possible. From a constantly changing reality, you don't even exist to question, oh, what is reincarnation? You don't know. You will never know. See, sometimes these questions can take you farther and farther into the depths of your mind. Just keep it in perspective. Try and understand all these things, but the reality is your mind, your body, your breath, this moment. Right? And constantly keep observing what is happening around you and what is happening within you. You will see that every moment you are being reincarnated. Yesterday you were a slightly different person. You are a little different today. Now you have reincarnated yourself through your thought process, through your intelligence, through your awareness. See, although we can dismiss all these ideas and concepts as too archaic, or it has been passed down from thousands of years, the relevance of all this can be seen in simple experiences of life. What is a thought? Try and observe your mind and body, then you will know what is a thought. Not intellectually, but experientially you can grasp it. Oh, thought is like a cloud. It has attached itself to me. It has become a part of my identity, my personality. And wherever I see only a manifestation of my thought. In fact, I never see reality independently. I only see a reality that is intermixed with my reality. If I'm feeling sad and if I look at the rainbow, it won't look beautiful. It will look very dull. Even the rainbow, even the colors of the rainbow. That's the reason we were just talking about how one experience of existence can be interpreted in so many different ways. You know, somebody can be ecstatic when it is raining and somebody can be gloomy and miserable. It's because nothing exists independently by itself. It's all a part of the collective consciousness and it is all a part of your mind. So, what is reincarnation? Every morning you wake up from bed, so you are reincarnating yourself from the deep womb of sleep. You're waking yourself up. So isn't that a reincarnation? Simple meaning, incarnate means to come back into form. Throughout your sleep, you were formless. You were drifting in your thoughts. You know, you were not carrying this body along. The body was simply asleep there. And then in the morning, you reincarnated yourself. You came back to form. It's the same thing that continues even after your death. Death doesn't end anything. Death only ends your experience of life to the people around you. But as for as you yourself, your thoughts, your desires will simply continue, and you'll wake up on the other side of the shore of life. Again, completely oblivious. You will not even know that you have died. You simply wake up and you start dreaming again. And in that dream, you have everything. You have a place, you have a tree, you have a bird, you have people to interact with. And your dream continues. Are you absolutely certain that you're not in a dream right now? How can you be absolutely certain? The day you become absolutely certain that you have woken up from the dream, then you will know all these. Till then, the only way to try and understand who you are is to keep inquiring, keep questioning, keep seeking. And one day you will know the answer.